The grand hall on the peace station was filled with soft lights, alien music, and nervous whispers. Humans had arrived from Earth only a few hours ago. They were guests, invited to meet the Xyrelian people for the first official peace talks. Among the human team was a young man named Nathan. He wasn't a soldier or a famous leader. He was just a calm, kind diplomat chosen for his peaceful nature and clear way of speaking. Nathan had trained for this moment for months. He had studied alien languages, read books on intergalactic customs, and learned how to act with respect. Still, nothing could prepare him for what happened that day. As he stood in line with his team, waiting to greet the Xyrelian royal family, he looked around. The Xyrelian people were tall and elegant, with silver blue skin that shimmered under the lights. They wore flowing clothes and small glass symbols on their foreheads, each glowing slightly. It was clear they were proud and graceful. When the Xyrelian princess entered the hall, the room went silent. Princess Lirali walked slowly, her head held high. She looked young, but her eyes held deep wisdom. Her long silver hair moved like soft waves, and her golden robes sparkled like stars. Everyone watched her, and even the human commander took a small step back out of respect. Nathan, however, was focused. When she walked toward him, he took a deep breath and smiled. As she stopped in front of him, a small nod came from her. "This is Nathan," said the human commander, "our youngest peace ambassador."
Raleigh
Looked at him closely, her expression unreadable. Then Nathan stepped forward, just like he was taught. He extended his right hand for a handshake. It was a common human gesture, polite, simple, and friendly. But the moment her hand touched his, everything changed. Lirali's hand began to shake. Her fingers trembled in his grip. Her eyes widened, and she pulled her hand back fast, as if she had touched fire. The hall fell completely silent. All the Xyrelian guards suddenly moved forward, hands on their weapons. Nathan froze. His heart began to pound. What did he do? What just happened? But before the guards could say anything, Lirali raised her hand, signaling them to stop. She stared at Nathan for a long moment, her lips slightly parted, as if she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Then she turned and walked away, her steps quick and light, almost like she was running from something. Nathan looked around. The other humans were confused. The Xyrelian leaders whispered among themselves. Something had clearly gone wrong, but no one explained what it was. Later in the guest chamber, Nathan sat on a bench, still thinking about it. His hands still remembered the feeling of hers, cold and soft but strong. Why had she reacted that way? He had simply offered a handshake. What happened out there? Asked Claire, one of his fellow diplomats. I don't know, Nathan said. I did what we were taught. It was just a handshake. Well, she looked terrified, Claire replied. Or shocked. Maybe both. Do you think I insulted her? He asked. I don't know Xyrelian customs well enough. Something about that touch clearly meant more than we think. Nathan felt a deep worry in his chest. Didn't want to cause trouble. His job was to build peace, not to make things worse. The next day, he noticed Xyrelian staff behaving differently. Some gave him curious looks. Others avoided his gaze completely. No one said anything, but the air around him had changed. Something invisible had wrapped itself around him. He didn't know how to break free. When the delegation walked into the Xyrelian council chamber for the next meeting, Nathan noticed that Princess Lirali was not there. Her seat was empty. The Xyrelian High Advisor, a tall figure with bright blue robes and glowing patterns on his face, stood to speak. The princess is resting. Today we continue talks without her. Nathan felt a strange chill. Resting or avoiding him? After the meeting, he returned to his quarters, where he found a small message pad on the table. It had one line of text. Meet me at the Star Garden. Come alone. Lirali. He stared at the message for a long time. Why did she want to meet him, and why in secret? Still, he couldn't ignore it. If there was a chance to understand what happened, he had to take it. That night, Nathan followed the path to the Star Garden, a quiet area on the upper level of the station. The garden was filled with glowing plants from different worlds. The ceiling above showed the stars beyond the station. He found Lee Raleigh standing near a pool of light, her hands folded in front of her. "You came," she said softly. "Yes." He replied, "I wanted to understand why you reacted like that." She turned to face him. Her eyes were calmer now, but still full of questions. "That gesture," she said, "your handshake. Where did you learn it?" "It's just a human custom. We use it to greet one another." "Do you know what it means to my people?" asked. Nathan shook his head. She stepped closer. "In Zarelian royal tradition, such a touch is sacred. It is only shared once in a lifetime, with the one who is bonded to the soul." His mouth went dry. "Bonded? Like married?" She nodded slowly. "Something even deeper." Nathan took a step back. "But I didn't mean to." "I didn't." "No, I believe you," she said. "But my body recognized something. Something I could not stop." Nathan looked at her, heart beating fast. "What does this mean now?" She looked up at the stars. "I don't know." "But everything has changed." Nathan stood silently beside the glowing pool of light, unsure what to say. The princess's words echoed in his head. A touch that meant soul bond. He didn't understand it, but he could feel the weight of it in her voice. Princess Lee Raleigh kept her eyes on the stars above. Her silver hair glowed softly in the garden's light. "When our hands touched," she said slowly, "I felt something ancient awaken inside me. A connection, not forced, not made by rules, but real, deep." Nathan looked down at his hand, the same hand that had reached out so casually. "It was just a handshake for me," he said. "Didn't mean anything by it. In my culture, it's normal." "I believe you," she whispered. "But our ancestors taught us that this touch only happens when the bond is true." He sat down on a stone bench, trying to think. "How can that be? I'm human. You're Zyrelian. Our species didn't even know each other 100 years ago. That's why it frightens me," she replied. He glanced at her. "Frightens you?" "Yes," she said. "Because if the bond is real, then fate has chosen something none of us expected." Nathan wanted to laugh, but he didn't. The moment didn't feel like a joke. "So what happens now?" Raleigh didn't answer right away. "My people will talk. They already whisper. Some believe the old stories. Others will see this as a threat. They will not want a human bonded to the royal bloodline." Nathan looked worried. "Will this cause trouble between our people?" "It might," she said, "unless we find out the truth first." "The truth," she nodded. "There's an old Zyrelian archive on the lower levels of this station. It holds the writings of our ancestors. I need to go there. I need to know if this bond is real or if it's just a mistake." Nathan stood up. "Then I'll go with you." "No," she said quickly. "You can't. If someone sees us together in that part of the station, they'll assume more than just peace talks." "But what if it's dangerous?" She smiled a little. "I can take care of myself, human." He looked into her eyes. "Maybe, but you shouldn't have to go alone." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then finally she gave a small nod. "Fine, but you must wear this." She handed him a small black badge. "Zarelian servant badge. It'll hide your human signature from the scanners." He pinned it inside his coat. "Lead the way." They moved through quiet halls and dark tunnels, far from the fancy meeting rooms. Nathan had never seen this part of the station. It smelled of old metal and forgotten wires. The walls were dusty, and the lights flickered now and then. Finally, they reached a round doorway, guarded by a silver scanning orb. Raleigh placed her hand on the panel. A soft hum echoed, and the door opened with a slow hiss. Inside was a small library. No one else was there. Glowing tablets floated above old stone shelves. The air was still and heavy, like the room had waited years for someone to return. "This place," she said, "was built long before I was born. Only royals may enter." She moved to one of the walls and touched a glowing symbol. A circle of light appeared in the center of the room, and within it floated an image, two figures standing together, their hands touching just like Nathan and Lee Raleigh had. Nathan stared. "That's the same gesture." "Yes," she said. "And look at the symbols around them." Nathan saw tiny markings floating around the image. Some of them looked strangely familiar. "Those matched DNA markers," he said slowly. "I saw them during medical scans." She turned sharply to him. You've seen them? Yes, he said. My blood carries strange markers. The doctors never knew what they were. Our ancestors called those the star-scene marks, she said. Only one being every few generations carries them, and only the true royal match reacts to them. Nathan stepped back. You're saying this. This was written before I was born, before I ever knew about Xyrillian people. How is that possible? I don't know, she whispered. But I think the galaxy has brought you here for a reason. Just then, a loud sound broke the silence. Footsteps. Someone else had entered the archive. Hide, Lirali whispered, pulling him behind a large stone pillar. 2 Xyrillian guards walked in, their voices low but tense. The council believes the princess is acting strangely, one said. They fear she's under human influence, said the other. If that's true, they'll demand she steps down. Nathan held his breath. Lirali's eyes were wide, her lips pressed tight. We must report this to High Advisor Zalarn, one guard said. No one can know she's here. After a moment, the guards turned and left. Once they were gone, Lirali looked at Nathan. We need to leave. Now. They hurried out the back of the archive and into a hidden service tunnel. As they walked in silence, Nathan finally asked, What happens if your people find out about the bond? Some will panic, she said. Some will try to separate us, and some might attack. Nathan swallowed hard. I didn't ask for this, but I don't want to run. Nor do I, she said. But we need to be smart. If we want peace, we must uncover everything. And fast. They reached the outer hall, where the lights were brighter and the voices of others returned, before they parted. Lirali placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Thank you for not running, he smiled. I think fate already caught me. And as she walked away, he knew something had started, something much bigger than both of them. Nathan couldn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of his bed in the guest quarters, his mind full of questions. The more he thought about it, the more it felt like a dream. How could a simple handshake turn into something so big? A human like him be part of some ancient Xyrillian bond. He got up and walked to the small window. Outside, the stars looked peaceful, but he knew something was changing. Whispers were growing. Even the human team had started asking questions. The next morning, Commander Lewis called a private meeting with Nathan. You've been spending a lot of time near the princess, Lewis said, his voice low but firm. Only during official talks, Nathan replied. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the full truth either. We're getting strange reports, the commander continued. The Xyrillian Council seems nervous. Something about royal customs, strange energy readings, and... You, Nathan looked. Down, sir. I think something happened during the handshake. Lewis frowned. We all saw that. She pulled away like she touched lightning. Why? I'm not sure, Nathan said. But it might be something old. Something sacred to their people. The commander leaned forward. If you know more, now's the time to tell me. Nathan hesitated, then nodded. I think the Xyrillian princess believes there's a soul bond between us. Something passed down in their royal line. When we touched, she felt it. Commander. Lewis blinked. A soul bond? Yes, Nathan said. I know it sounds strange, but there's more. Old Xyrian records showed DNA marker symbols that match mine. I didn't know until we found them in their archive. The room was silent. For a moment, do you believe it? Lewis finally asked. I don't know what to believe, Nathan admitted, but it's real for her. And now, it's becoming real for others too. The commander sighed. We came here to talk peace, not to start a royal scandal. I didn't choose this, Nathan said quietly, but maybe this bond. Maybe it can be a bridge instead of a wall. Lewis looked at him for a long time, then nodded. Stay close, but be careful. Yeah. If anything feels wrong, you come straight to me. Yes, sir. After the meeting, Nathan walked the halls of the peace. Station trying to think. He passed Xyrillian workers, some of whom gave him strange looks. One even bowed slightly before walking away fast. It was clear the rumors had spread. He went to the garden again, hoping to find peace. To his surprise, Lee Raleigh was already there, sitting by the glowing pool. She looked up as he approached. "You came. I needed some quiet," he said. "Me too?" He sat beside her. For a while they just watched the soft light ripple in the pool. "The council is watching us," she said. "And others are starting to take sides because of the bond. Yes, some believe it's fate. Others think it's a mistake. Or worse, a trick." Nathan sighed. "I didn't want this to happen." "Neither did I," she said. "It's here now. If we run from it, others will decide our future for us." He looked at her. "Then we stand together." She smiled. Just a little. "Yes." Suddenly, a small round drone floated toward them, blinking red. It projected a voice. "Princess Lee Raleigh. The High Advisor requests your presence alone." Lee Raleigh stood. "They must want answers. Do you want me to come with you?" She looked unsure. "Not this time. Let me see what they say. But if I don't return, something is wrong." Nodded. "I'll wait." She followed the drone into the hall and disappeared around the corner. Nathan sat in the garden for a long time. The lights grew dim as the station's decycle ended, but she didn't return. Worried, he stood and went to the human quarters. Claire was there, typing on a holopad. "You look tense," she said. Lyrelli went to meet the High Advisor. "She hasn't come back." Claire frowned. "You think they're keeping her?" "I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Nathan, this could be dangerous." "I think it already is." He left the room and took a service hallway toward the Zyrelian council chamber. The path was quiet. He passed 2 cleaning drones and a few silent guards. Finally, he reached a hidden side door one Lee Raleigh had shown him in case they ever needed. To speak in secret, he waited. Then he heard voices from inside. "The human must not be allowed near her again," said a deep voice. "But the bond," another began. "The bond is not proof," said the deep voice again. "It could be an accident or a trap." Nathan moved closer and peeked through a gap. Lyra Lee stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by elders. Her face was calm, but her hands were clenched. "This is not a trap," she said firmly. "The bond was real. I felt it." "Feelings do not rule the empire," said the High Advisor. "You are a princess. Your future must be controlled." Lyrali raised her head. "I will not be controlled." Nathan's heart pounded. He wanted to step in, but he waited. Then the High Advisor spoke again. "If you refuse, we will remove you from the talks, from your role, from the throne." Gasps echoed through the room. Lyra Lee stood tall. "Then I'd choose to leave. I will not be part of a council that fears change." The doors opened suddenly. Nathan stepped inside, heart racing. She doesn't have to face this alone. The elders turned in shock. "You dare enter uninvited?" One shouted. "I only want peace," Nathan said. "But I won't let her be silenced for what she believes." Lyrelli looked at him, her eyes wide but thankful. The High Advisor stared at them. "Both. Then let the galaxy see what you've done." Nathan stood firm in the chamber, the heavy silence pressing down on him like gravity. The Zyrillian elders all stared, their faces full of shock, anger, or confusion. He could feel their judgment like sharp glass cutting through the air. But he didn't back away. Princess Leorali didn't speak at first. She looked at Nathan, then at the elders. Her voice came out steady and clear. "I called him here. He didn't force his way in." The High Advisor narrowed his glowing eyes. "You asked the human to step into sacred ground in front of your council." "Yes," she said. "I will do it again." The council room stirred with whispers. One elder shook his head. "You risk our traditions, Princess," she said. "I am protecting what is true. You said the bond might be a trick, but you never asked how it made me feel. You never asked me if it was real." Another elder spoke. "Feelings are not facts." Nathan finally stepped closer. "And look at the facts. Her own body reacted to me. You have the records from the archives? Her energy signature spiked when we touched. Your own scientists saw the same DNA symbols from the old scrolls in my blood." "Coincidence," said the High Advisor coldly. "Or proof," Lyrali replied. A younger council member stood up slowly. If this bond is real, then maybe it's not a threat. Maybe it's something we were meant to witness. The older elders stared him down, but he didn't sit back. The high advisor slammed a silver staff on the floor. Enough. I will not allow this human to change the course of our royal path. The council will vote immediately. We will decide the princess's future and her connection to the human. Guards entered the room, ready to escort them out. Lyra Lee's single quotes his hand brushed Nathan's. This time she didn't tremble. Instead, her touch gave him strength, back in the guest chambers. Nathan paced the floor while Lyra sat quietly nearby. There, scared, he said. But why? Isn't the bond something to be honored? It was, she said softly, a long time ago. But over the years, the bond became legend. Now it's just a story. They fear what they don't understand. Nathan stopped pacing. What if we prove it? Not just words, not just old records, real proof. Lee Raleigh looked up. How? Your scientists scanned me before. What if we ask for a deeper scan? One that checks both of us, our energy patterns, brainwaves, everything. If the bond is real, it'll show. They won't agree, she said. Not unless someone higher demands it. Nathan thought for a moment. Then we need someone brave. Someone who still believes in truth. A name came to Learley's mind. Elder Sarin, the young one. She nodded. He once told me, tradition without. Truth is just a cage. He may listen. The next day, Lee Raleigh met Elder Sarone in a private chamber. Nathan waited nearby, nervous but hopeful. When Lorelli returned, her face carried a flicker of hope. He agreed, she said. But it must be done quietly. Why? Because if the scan proves we are bonded, she said, there will be those who try to hide it. Or stop it. They followed Elder Sarin into a hidden lab inside the medical wing. 2 Xyrillian doctors waited there, ready and silent. They had been chosen carefully loyal to truth, not power. Nathan and Lyrelli sat on opposite chairs as the scan began. Blue lights swept over their bodies. Strange lines appeared on the screen, full of curves and symbols. Slowly, the data formed a glowing energy patterns, one from Nathan, one from Lyra Lee. They started out separate. But then, something incredible happened. The patterns began to move toward each other. They twisted, mirrored, and finally locked together like puzzle pieces. The room fell completely silent. I've never seen anything like this, one doctor whispered. It's beautiful, said the other dot. Elder Soren studied the screen. This is no accident. No human technology can fake this. The bond is real. Lee Raleigh looked at Nathan, her voice soft. Now the galaxy will know. But their joy didn't last long. A sharp sound broke through the quiet, a warning alarm. Back door burst open and 4 council guards rushed in. By order of High Advisor Zalarn, you are all under arrest for unlawful testing. Nathan and Lyrelli stood quickly. We didn't break any laws, she said. You broke council will. One guard replied. They were taken into custody and placed in a holding room. Elder Sarone was removed from his position. The test results were erased from the public system, hidden like a forbidden truth. Inside the cell, Nathan sat beside Lyrelli on a cold bench. They're trying to erase us, he said. Then we won't let them, she replied. We'll find another way. How? My people still believe in the old stories, she said. If they see the bond with their own eyes, not in secret, but in public, they will choose truth. Nathan looked at her. You want to show them? Yes, at the Unity ceremony. Tomorrow, in front of everyone, they'll try to stop us. She nodded. Then we'll need help. The day of the Unity ceremony arrived with the peace station buzzing in preparation. Aliens from many worlds filled the grand hall, dressed in their finest colors and fabrics. Humans and Xyrillians stood side by side, but beneath the surface. Tension crackled like static electricity. Many eyes watched Princess Lyrily carefully. Waiting to see what she would do, Nathan stood beside her in the royal box, his heart beating fast. The bond between them was no longer a secret, but few still believed it was real. Some whispered that it was a trick, others feared it would bring chaos. Yet Nathan saw hope shining in Lyrali's calm eyes. As the ceremony began, the High Advisor rose to speak. His voice echoed through the hall, full of warning and authority. "Princess Lyrali has brought a human into our sacred traditions," he said. "Some say this is a miracle, others say it is a betrayal." He paused, letting his words settle like cold stones. "We must choose. Either trust in the old ways or fear the unknown." The crowd murmured. Many glanced nervously at Nathan. Then Lyrali stepped forward, her golden robes catching the light. "I choose truth," she said loudly, "and I ask you all to see it with your own eyes." She turned to Nathan and took his hand gently. "Bond is real. It is not a threat, but a bridge between our worlds." Nathan squeezed her hand, feeling strength flow through their touch. Suddenly the room darkened. Blue light filled the space as the ancient Xyrelian technology activated. A hologram appeared above them, a swirling symbol of energy, glowing with life. The bond between Nathan and Lyrali was displayed for all to see, their energy patterns connecting, and shining bright gasps and whispers filled the hall. Some aliens stepped back, unsure or afraid. Others looked amazed. The High Advisor scowled, but could not stop the display. "This is proof," Lyrali said.
Ow.
"Our peoples are meant to unite." At that moment, a group of rebels burst into the hall, shouting and waving weapons. "Stop this madness," one yelled. "The princess is betraying us all." Guards rushed forward, trying to keep peace. Nathan moved quickly to protect Lyrali, standing between her and the angry crowd. "Listen to me," he shouted. "This bond is our future, not our destruction." The rebels hesitated, surprised by the human's courage. Lyrali's single quotes-ass voice rang clear. With her words, many in the crowd began to calm. Elder Saron appeared, his robes shining with authority. "Let this ceremony continue," he declared. "We must face change with open minds." Slowly peace returned after the ceremony, Nathan and Lyrali were greeted by those who supported them. Old friends and new allies stood by their side, but the battle was far from over. Back in the shadows, the High Advisor plotted. He whispered to his loyal followers, "They have won the day, but not the war." Nathan looked at Lyrali as they stood on the balcony, watching the stars. "What happens now?" "Now," she said, "we build a new path. One where humans and Xyrelians walk together." He smiled, hope shining in his eyes. "Then let's not waste time." The peace station was quiet after the storm of the Unity ceremony. Many worlds watched the news spread like wildfire. Humans and Xyrelians had taken a bold step toward true friendship, but old fears still lingered like shadows at the edge of light. Nathan and Princess Lyrali stood together in the royal chamber. The bond between them no longer a secret, but a symbol of hope and challenge. "People are still afraid," Nathan said softly. "Not everyone believes this bond can change centuries of doubt." Lyrali nodded. "Fear is strong. Oh, it takes time to heal old wounds." "What will you do?" "I will lead," she said firmly. "Not as a princess bound by old rules, but as a bridge between our worlds." Their conversation was interrupted by a soft knock on the door. Elder Saron entered. With a hopeful smile, "News from the council," he said. "Many have changed their minds. Support for peace is growing." "That is good," Lyrali replied. "But what of the High Advisor?" "He is losing power," Saron said. "The people want truth. They want unity." Nathan looked out the window at the stars. "Do you think our worlds can truly be united?" "I believe they must," she said. "For the future of all." Days passed, and the peace talks continued with new energy. Humans and Xyrelians worked side by side to repair broken ties and build new alliances. Together, they faced challenges old. Enemies, mistrust, and danger lurking in the dark corners of the galaxy. One evening, as Nathan and Lyrali walked through the Star Garden, they spoke quietly. "This bond," Nathan said, "it's more than just DNA or energy. It's a promise." "A promise to stand together," she agreed. They stopped beneath the glowing trees. Lirelli looked at him with a soft smile. "When I first touched your hand, I was afraid," she said. "Not of you, but of what it meant. But now, Mal," she said, "I tremble no longer. Instead, I feel hope." Nathan reached out and took her hand gently. "Then let us face the future together."
Oh.
Their hands linked, a quiet power flowing between them. Around them, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. The peace station continued to be a place of change. Some still doubted, but many more believed in a new era, one where humans and Xyrelians could learn from each other, grow together, and explore the stars side by side. And Nathan knew, deep in his heart, that this was only the beginning.